How you going, Liam?
Good brother.
Good, mate. We'll just get started straight into it. And if you could introduce yourself and describe who's Liam Mcelwee today.
Who's Liam Mcelwee today? Well, that's who I am. I'm Liam Mcelwee, a New Zealander living in Ontario, Canada. Liam Mcelwee is talking in the third person right now. I'm a budding entrepreneur at this very moment. I am involved with a business called Prove It, which supplies the world with the first therapeutic exogenous ketone. So that's what I'm doing business-wise at the moment. I am on a journey of self-development, trying to improve myself in a way that it affects my business, but I can affect the human race, as many people as I possibly can, to conquer this glucose epidemic that's taking over the world, to stop people eating processed food, and just to get people healthier, fitter, I guess on a journey of their own self-development as well. If I can help people, just by recommending books that I'm reading, I don't read, books that I'm listening to. I just want better for people, right? I see in this day and age with technology, there's a bit of a drug epidemic where I am as well. And there's so many like late teen, early 20 kids walking around that, I don't know, they seem lost, man. It looks like they have had no real direction, no real mentors in their life. And it's just sad, So I don't know how I'm going to reach out to people like that yet. But, if I can, the more people I can affect in a positive manner, then the less people will choose bad paths. I don't know if that sort of makes sense, but yeah, I used to be a dirty hippie back in the day, so I've still got a bit of a dirty hippie in me.
Great, man. That ties in with my second question there, brother. You're talking about kids and lack of mentors and things. What would define you as a child? So when you're sort of from your earliest memories through primary school and things, how would you describe yourself, and what would be a definitive characteristic of you growing up? Was that in New Zealand?
Yep. So born and bred in New Zealand, born and bred in P-Town, Porirua. So a little bit on the other side of the tracks, a lot of people would say. However, I don't think it was the other side of the tracks whatsoever. I was immersed in culture. It was awesome. I was brought up in a cultural group, a poly club. I got to learn and understand New Zealand heritage and Pacific Island heritage, which I absolutely fell in love with. Throughout school, was very involved in, going away to polyfests, and, it was a bit weird because we were one or two white guys in our school that were doing it, but I love New Zealand culture. I love New Zealand heritage. It's on my body. It's important to me. Then I started swimming at a really early age. I was a competitive swimmer. I swam to a national level, went to the Olympic qualifiers, which was no big deal, but I went to the Olympic qualifiers. At 16, I think I was the fastest 200 backstroker in New Zealand. And swimming for me was a massive part of my life. It taught me a good mindset. It taught me to be very organized, very disciplined, and things like time management. And although I wasn't very good at throwing that over to the school side of life, now looking back, it taught me so much about important things that every adult needs in their life. At an early age, I started swim teaching at 15 years of age, and I was super lucky, super lucky. Like I taught swimming. 4, and I probably, actually last week I just started back coaching a wee 14-year-old girl here, friends of a friend. I've done that since I was 15, man, and I'm 38, so I've done it for a long, long, long time. And I've been really, really lucky. I have never done a job in my life that I haven't liked. So, I think that is probably linked to the way I was brought up, the way I went through my own swimming sporting days, that I've only ever really done things that I wanted to be involved with, that I enjoyed, and if I didn't like anything, I just always expressed it. And my parents were really cool like that. I didn't have to do anything that I didn't enjoy.
Massive. You touched on what I want to continue on with, but before we do move on there, it's amazing how people's lives cross over so well. Similar upbringing to you, involved with Māori culture at a primary school level, huge into swimming myself. Not quite to your level, mate, but one thing that I definitely learnt from swimming was a swim camp we went to in the middle of northern Southland, little school pool in the middle of nowhere, swim camp for 5 days. The first day we did 3 sessions, which was the first time I'd ever done 3 sessions, and the third session hadn't had enough fuel that day. We were finishing off our session with 6 400 meters, trying to go at about 100%, and I figuratively hit the wall with 1.5 sets to go, so another 600 meters to go, and my coach made me finish it off and swim an extra 600 meters with absolutely no fuel in the muscles. Usually a 400 meters would take 5 to 6 minutes, and I think it took those last 1.5 sets took me 15 minutes. That ability in swimming to just push through the barriers, how do you think that's affected the rest of your life?
Big time, man. If anyone knows me, I love to work. Like, I'm when I do things, and I think it's New Zealanders in general as well, right? Like if I go in 120%. Like there's no mucking around for me. If you're going to do something, you got 2 ways to do it, and it's don't do it or do it really, really well. And you're right. It's from swimming, eh? Like I was always that person that loved to be coached, and I loved my coach to be really, really hard on me. I didn't at the time. Like I'd go home and cry and be upset and all that sort of stuff. But I also always knew that person was just knew what I was capable of and saw what I could do and pushed me in that direction, which, I think, we were talking earlier about like having guidance in life for these young people. Like coach is important, whatever the sport may be. If you're involved in a church, having that person in your life, like, if it wasn't for my parents and my swimming background, then, I've got an addictive personality. Who knows where I would have ended up,
Sweet, mate. So back touching on that, you've never been involved in a job or a profession that you didn't love. What are some of the passions and professions that you've followed up to your 38 years to now?
So swimming has always been a big part of my life, and it always will be. Like I'm not clued up in the competitive world these days, but, like anything from babies through to high-end competitive, man. When I did this session with this girl last week, and I probably haven't taught swimming that level in about 3 or 4 years, man, I totally geeked out. And when you're passionate about something, when you can probably talk about swimming for like 5 hours non-stop, because most people, that will bore the pants off. Like, they know your arms go around in circles and your legs go up and down. I geek out at, like the position of a hand and the elbow in reference to the wrist, like all that sort of stuff. From there, I was, there's a little heads poking through there. I joined the cult, the CrossFit cult, and still massive, huge fan of the cult. And when I say cult, if you guys haven't read it, I know Stag, I'm pretty sure you have. Russell Brunson's, what's the book? Expert.
Oh, I haven't read it either, mate.
You know what? I have it right here. There it is. Expert Secrets, guys. There we go. That's the book that I'm reading at the moment. And it's about becoming an expert and the secrets to becoming an expert. And to be a good leader, you have to create a cult, sure. And that's what it is for me, right? You know, like a lot of people take the piss out of CrossFit having a cult following. Anything in life is a cult following if you immerse yourself 120% into it. And there's nothing wrong with it. Once again, it could be church, it could be cross-stitch, it can be CrossFit, you know, like for me, everything about CrossFit was probably the same as my competitive swimming days. And now working with Prove It, it's exactly the same thing, 100% passionate about something that is so powerful and can affect so many people with so many health benefits. And you lose fat along the way as well, which is, you know, like when I started, I lost 32 pounds, I think it was. Sorry, I'm in pound mode now. It was like 12 or 13 kilos in 8 weeks, no training, which was pretty huge for me after owning a CrossFit gym for 4.5 years, thinking I was in pretty good shape. And that's not even the thing that sealed the deal. That was the byproduct. That was the bonus, you know, like, so once again, having something that I fully believe in, that I'm fully committed to, that I can throw myself into 120% and change people, affect people. You know, with swimming, I could teach babies and adults life skills. I could get my competitive guys to win medals. CrossFit, I could change people's lives with, you know, sickness, fat loss, mindset once again, and then now I'm getting that same idea with Prove It, but just on a bigger scale. You know, like I'm not even just dealing with people that are in my immediate vicinity right now. I've got people in Saudi Arabia, England, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, you know, all across the world, getting all these amazing health benefits, and I'm here. Like I do this sort of stuff with them, which is it's pretty powerful.
Yep. And how have you made those connections all over the world, mate?
So when I was 24, I went traveling. At 24, I went to the UK. I spent maybe 10 or 11 months in the UK teaching kids to swim. Me and my girlfriend of the time, we went to America for a ski season. I was a chairlift manager at a ski resort in Vermont. Then I ended up a whitewater rafting guide through the Grand Canyon for a season. Back to New Zealand for 3 months, over to Australia for 6 months, back to England for 1.5 years, and then I ended up in Saudi Arabia for about 5 years. So one of the best things, and, you know, like I know your audience is not going to be just New Zealand right now, Stag, but it doesn't matter what country you're in. Get out of your own country, guys. It'll just open your eyes. It'll give you a sense of reality, because I think sometimes in our own country, we only know what happens in our country. You go somewhere else and you're like, oh my God, this is pretty crazy. Some of these big cities, like, you know, coming from New Zealand, and probably what's Wellington, the second biggest city in New Zealand. It's an ant in an ant farm, man. It's absolutely nothing. And what it does is it broadens your horizon, it opens your mind, and you learn. And you learn so much. And I'm not saying you can't learn those skills staying home in New Zealand, but, you know, different cultures, different religions, different ways of life. You can't learn that sort of stuff if you only ever hang out with New Zealanders.
Great. We'll definitely be diving back into that in a little bit later on. We've seen Tanya walking around the background there. Would you
Clothes? Did she have her clothes on? Hopefully.
Yeah, mate. Tell us about when you first met Tanya. How did that go down, mate?
Do you want the real story?
Yeah, mate.
So when I lived in Saudi Arabia, I was in party mode. I used to party like 5 nights a week till 4 o'clock in the morning. Used to party really hard. I'd just been to Thailand for 10 days by myself. Had an amazing time. Like literally blew my mind that traveling by yourself could be so amazing. Did all right with the ladies on that holiday and came back to Saudi and pretty much confessed to all my friends, never going to get into a relationship. I'm staying single and traveling because there's just way too many fish in the sea. That weekend I met Tanya, and I say, she knows the story. I say it like this all the time. It was like somebody got a big wet fish and just slapped me across the face. And I pretty much knew from that point that she was going to be the girl that I was going to marry. I think we moved in with each other 2 weeks later.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so, you know, like I don't usually believe in all that rubbish that there's someone out there that can, you know, you know, and I always thought, you know, absolute rubbish. It doesn't happen, but it does happen.
Also,
you just got to be patient.
Yeah, also that that those people usually pop up when you least expect it, when you're least looking for it. And obviously that was the case for you, mate. It turned your world around from what you'd just decided.
It's just amazing. Like, I don't know, you know, you look back at, you know, I think we've been together 5.5 years, and just, you know, how much happens in 5.5 years. It's, you know, holidays and vacations and relocating to 2 different countries and a 2.5-year-old, and, you know, it's life's a kick, man. You know, like, do stuff that you want to do, guys. Like, just don't let anything ever hold you back. Another wee audiobook I've listened to lately is Mel Robbins' 5 Steps to Success, I think it's called. Got to listen to it, got to read it, guys. You know, all it says is, when you get a thought in your head, what typically happens is, there we go. Stag's doing it right now. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Literally saying the numbers in your head and act. Because if you start to think about little things for even the smallest amount of time, the biggest things happen. The biggest problems come into your head, and as soon as a problem comes into your head, it'll override everything else and it'll win.
Cool, mate.
So
Let's dive into that, bro. Because why does she say that why all of a sudden that happens to you, that after 5 seconds your instinct and your passion for something all of a sudden goes, what's your brain telling you? What's your brain protecting you from? You didn't listen too hard, did you?
You know what? I'm actually only a quarter of the way through it, so I don't know if I've hit that part. But basically, it's just fear, right? Fear of rejection, and it's fear of your own head, really, because you talk yourself out of stuff. It's simple things like telling someone you love them on the spot, or asking a question, or, you know, just letting the primitive brain rule. Was that what it was?
Yeah, mate. So there's a little cheat snippet of that, and our common friend Pally posted a great video of it the other day, and basically Mel's saying about how your brain, and I've been told this by going to do some psychotherapy with a friend of mine who's a sports psychologist, and your brain is wired to protect yourself from threats. You know, our primitive brain when we're in the middle of Africa and we're looking out for saber-toothed tigers, is always ready to tell you, hey, this could kill you today. Unfortunately, now we live in this world where, well, fortunately probably, where there's no threats. Both of us are sitting in a house. Both of us have got electricity. Both of us, and you've probably got better heating than me, but we're both in an environment that we're going to probably wake up tomorrow unless we've got something genetically wrong with us, or we haven't looked after ourselves and something metabolically takes us down. Otherwise, we get in a car or we do something stupid. Our life expectancy now is knocking on the door of 80, and your brain is still, and I spoke about this on a little brief podcast the other day, your brain is still very much in a stage of being a reptile, and even to a greater extent to being a primate, where survival is still what drives us. And it's exactly that. If you allow your brain to go into those other functions, you're going to convince yourself out of it because it could be too dangerous. You're going to develop those fears, and it's going to take you over. So I'm just going to slightly segue away from fear, because probably on an initial stage, what was it like the day your son was born and we saw his head poking in there, mate? How much leading into that? What was the fear levels like, brother?
No fear, man. No fear for me. I teaching kids to swim. I always said by the time I was 25, I wanted to have 5 kids. Traveling and enjoying life. I'm very, very glad I didn't, right? I wouldn't have done half the things that I have done with my life, but I always wanted kids young. No fear whatsoever. Biggest fear was probably that we had moved back to New Zealand from Saudi Arabia after making pretty seriously good money and having a business, and in New Zealand, like just living week to week, man, it changed a lot in 11 to 12 years of being away, and just not having that financial freedom to give my son and my wife everything that I potentially could. That was probably the biggest fear. And then the day he came was pretty awesome. Yeah, it was a bit scary because we had gone in on Christmas Eve to get induced because his tummy was very small and it wasn't growing. And Tanya was induced 2 or 3 times, and we didn't have him until Boxing Day. So it was a bit drawn out. It was a bit nerve-wracking, but yeah, you just can't beat it, right? It's just the best feeling in the world. And then he comes out and everyone's racing around, and the first day, if I'm 100% honest, I didn't really connect with my son because I got told to go home that day and I wasn't allowed to stay in the hospital with Tanya and him, and everybody had been there to visit, and I didn't really get a lot of time to connect with him. So it didn't really sink in until the second day for me. And then anyone will tell you there's nothing better than in the world, a better feeling than when you have kids. And working with kids all my life, I couldn't wait for that. And then it happens, and it supersedes everything. Like it's people tell you it's here, and then when it happens, it's way up here. It's the best feeling in the world. It's awesome, man. It's so good.
Fantastic, brother. That's really cool. And like you say, all of us out there that don't have kids are probably hearing this story and are sitting here. And we like you always hear, you won't know until you've been a part of it. And you just need to look in your eyes and see, where your brain goes and where your mind goes when you're thinking about that, and it's powerful.
Dude, you wait, you look down at your little baby's face and it's part of you, and you just, your heart just swells, man. There's just so much love and so much care and a little fear as well, man, because the world we're living in is not getting any easier. So there is that fear of, how am I going to do this? What happens when he gets to the age and there's drugs and, girlfriends and, God knows all those little things. Once again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like just be serious. Like, you don't even need to think about that stuff really, because it may not ever happen. But you do have the primitive brain kicks in again and you have all these little fears. But you just got to, take it day by day and love it and enjoy it and get as much time as you possibly can, because he just grows up so fast. So, once again, if I link it back to what I've done work-wise, like CrossFit, I was really lucky because I had morning classes, lunchtime classes, and evening classes, and then every other time in between I was with my boy. And now working for Prove It, like I actually thought this morning, I was like, man, I have no concept of what a weekend is anymore, because every day is a weekend, every day is a Saturday, every day is a Sunday. Like I just, I wake up and I get to spend amazing amounts of time with my wife and my son. And yeah, I work at the same time, but I can be with them 24/7. It's great.
Fantastic. What were the reasons you thought that you should leave New Zealand again, mate?
So purely based on, or not purely actually, initially to give my wife what she wanted, to come back and be near her family. And then the more we looked at it, the cost of living in Canada is so much cheaper than New Zealand. Way, way, way cheaper. I feel that there are opportunities in New Zealand, but population restricts opportunities sometimes. So like now being here in Canada and doing the Prove It thing as well, like for me, I'm lucky enough to be involved in this business at a very, very, very early stage. Like, the way I see it right now is I'm going to be like one of the founders of Canada, man. Like 10 years from now, hopefully I've built a following without sounding arrogant or anything like that. But, I'm going to be one of the leaders of exogenous ketones in Canada. And that excites me. And it's purely because it's early, but in the same sense, this place is big and there's a lot of people here.
Mean, mate. And that answers my next question. Basically, what was the driving force for Canada? And
just so everybody knows, I don't even know these questions, so it's pretty cool that we're sort of flowing quite smoothly here.
Yeah, mate. So you've lived there for, what is it now? 2 months. We saw each other at the end of April in the Gold Coast.
Yeah, so coming 3. I think coming 3 we've been here.
Yeah. What's your thoughts of Canada, its people and environment so far? You've been lucky enough to have summertime.
Dude, it's rocking, man. There's nothing about Canada that I don't like. They all say that it's been wet. Doesn't matter. I'm from Wellington. Like, there's no wind.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of rain. People are really nice. Really, really, really nice. It's been tricky because, with Prove It, it's all about networking, and I have absolutely no network here, which actually has been a winner for me because I've had to throw myself out there even more so. So I've met a whole lot of cool people through business that are, tuning into this keto community, which, means I'm gaining friends as well. Wildlife, I love wildlife, man. I have chipmunks and squirrels and raccoons running around in my backyard, which is choice. And then just the size again is crazy, right? So I had to go down to Toronto when our shipping arrived to pick it up. And, I'm talking 5-lane highways on both sides of the road, 2:00 in the afternoon, and it's just chock-a-block. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And my wife's, this isn't even peak hour, man. And then you put it all into perspective, right? So GTA, Greater Toronto Area, has 6.4 million people. It's so hard to comprehend. That's like 1.5 New Zealand in just the city itself. So once again, it's big, man. It's thriving. It's clean. It's green. It's cool. I like it.
Now,
Visit.
yeah, oh, absolutely, mate. So the place is big, New Zealand's small. Do you find that mindset follows that? When you're looking back on your time with the people that you met and interacted with in Wellington, and you're saying about traveling opens your mind and gives you greater perspective, how do you compare a mindset of a Kiwi to a mindset of someone from Canada?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the mindset is that much different. One thing that bugs the hell out of me with people back home, New Zealanders, and this is very general, guys. This is probably not people that are watching this.
Mm-hmm.
Tall poppy syndrome does my head in.
Yeah, mate.
Absolutely does my head in. I don't understand why it is a New Zealand thing. I don't know how people don't understand that it's not good. It doesn't, like, we should all be pumping each other up 24/7, like if any of my friends have success, I should be right there beside them, giving them a high five, toasting them a beer and just congratulating them. And I'm talking about absolutely anything. If it's something that I don't agree with, but they're passionate about it and they are loving it and they are living it and they're doing it, then I should be right there beside them. So for those people that are watching, Prove It is community-based marketing, and I have a lot of people that I'm very close friends with that just don't support what I'm doing, and for me, that does my head in. It's very frustrating because there's not a product on the market like it. There's nothing that can do anything like what exogenous ketones are doing. And then the business itself is just off the hook. It's amazing. The personal development, the monetary benefits behind it. Unfortunately, like, I don't know if it's New Zealand's small-mindedness that we have only had limited network marketing experiences, and unfortunately they've all been shit because they were shit products, or people pushed that whole network marketing on people too much, and it gave people bad experiences. So like for me, this is very different. Like, I did get a bit crazy network marketing in the beginning. I wasn't taught how to do this. I didn't know what I was doing, but I never really, I got excited, and I'm that sort of guy. Like I said, that I throw myself 120% into it. I never forced a sale on anyone, but because I was so passionate about it, I probably seemed like a nutbag network marketer. So, yeah, I think New Zealanders are really cool people, and most of the world does. When I travel and people say, "Oh, New Zealanders, I love New Zealanders. We're cool people." But yeah, there's that. And Australians say it as well, which I didn't know about. Like, apparently tall poppy syndrome in Australia is pretty bad as well. So, yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, mate. And just to finish off, if you could explain your tattoo, you see a little bit of Celtic chain in there as well. Does it have any meaning?
Yeah, so my dad's Irish. So my dad's 100% Irish, so you got the Irish in there. The korus involved are all to do with brothers and sisters and mums and dads. But then probably the most important part to my tattoo is, I don't know if you can see it.
The heart or the head?
Yeah, the head.
Yeah, mate.
So my primary school days in Poly Club and Cultural Group, Roseanne Gibson, her name was, my teacher at 5 years of age. She was in my middle brother's, what do you call that? What did we call it back in those days? You're different than me. I'm way older than you. J1.
You know, I was a J1er. J1.
Oh, you were a J1er. And then my little brother's teacher at J1 as well. Became a very close family friend. And I pretty much classified her as my Māori mother. And for my 21st birthday, she gave me a bone carving. And the day she died, that bone carving broke. And that's the head of the bone carving. So when I got this tattoo, it was all sort of on the spot, free-handed, and the guy asked me, about my life, my story, just stuff about it. And I told him that story, and he was like, she goes on your back. She's always watching over you. She's always protecting you. She's there for you. So that there for me, and it's, this is my New Zealand side. Well, actually, sorry, let me rephrase that. This is my family side of my body, my left side of my body, closest to my heart. And then obviously I've got Era, which is Ireland, on my wrist because that's my bloodlines. And then I've got some more Tamoku down on my leg and stuff as well. And then this side of my body is just my goofy side, right? So I've got a koi fish with pink flowers, and I'm a metalhead. If anyone knows me, I love my heavy metal. So there'll be a lot more coming over the years, but it'll probably go back to the things that I've always wanted, which is like demons and skulls and all that dark stuff.
Awesome, mate. So where can people find you and see your crazy videos? Today, was that yesterday, dancing to Taylor Swift?
Okay. So guys, I'm trying to start a movement. I'm not really, but I hashtagged it today. It's called Lip Sync and Dance. So I did another one this afternoon. I was just driving home, and Bruno Mars, that put your pinky fingers in the air. So I just started dancing and lip syncing to it, and I got so many good comments yesterday on the Taylor Swift one, how many smiles it brought to people's faces and just, and made them happy. So I thought today, I just said to my wife, like, I goof around all the time, man. And I just said, film me again. And then today I was like, you know what, I'm going to hashtag it. So my challenge to everybody is hashtag lip sync and dance, post it on social media. Do you know what? Because if you can make one person smile and have a good day, why wouldn't you?
Cool, mate.
Hashtag lip sync and dance.
Sweet. And what are your channels, mate?
Channels, just I am just Liam Mcelwee on Facebook. I am Canada Keto on Facebook, which is Canada KET0. That's my Prove It site. I'm on Instagram, same ones, LJ Mcelwee and Canada Keto. Any other social media? Not really. I'm old and crusty, and working those two is enough for me.
Sweet. I'll put the links to both those, Instagram and Facebook in the notes for this podcast. It's been bloody awesome talking to you, Liam.
Thanks, dude. Hey, I'll just do a wee plug there, guys. What do you actually know about ketones and ketosis?
Nice, mate.
Because this is the biggest thing, guys. You don't actually know, and you know what? You don't know until you know. So I guess one of those things, again, for everybody out there is just keep learning, keep educating, because there's good things out there, and you know, like all you need to do is go out there and find those good things, because there's gold nuggets hidden everywhere. And if you just keep living your normal life and living in your little bubble, then you're just not going to evolve. And it's all about evolution, baby. Eddie Vedder said it best.
Nice, mate. Awesome to talk to you.
Stag, thank you very much, man. I am 100% honoured to be your first. I don't know why you chose me. You're a madman. I thank you very, very much, and I am very honoured to be part of your show, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.